The emergency signal, the deep space station Omega, floated silently in the void between stars, its massive arrays scanning the darkness for any sign of activity. Communications officer Sarah Chun rubbed her tired eyes and checked her console for the 100th time that shift. The night watch was always quiet, but something felt different tonight. The long-range sensors were picking up unusual patterns from the outer rim sectors. Sarah frowned as she studied the incoming data. The signal was faint but persistent, coming from a region of space that should have been empty. She adjusted the filters and ran the signal through the computer analysis systems. The results made her sit up straighter in her chair. "Commander Rivera, could you take a look at this?" She called across the bridge to Station Commander Marcus Rivera, who was reviewing duty rosters at his desk. Rivera looked up from his work and walked over to Sarah's station. He was a veteran of 20 years in the Deep Space Monitoring Service, and his instincts had kept the station safe through countless alerts and false alarms. "What have you found, Chun?" "Signal from Sector 94 Delta, sir. It's artificial, definitely. Not natural space phenomena. The pattern is too regular, too organized." Sarah pulled up the waveform analysis on her main screen. "Look at these mathematical sequences. They're prime numbers, but arranged in a specific pattern that suggests intelligence." Rivera studied the data carefully. The signal came in short bursts followed by long periods of silence. Each burst contained complex mathematical relationships that were clearly deliberate. "How long have you been tracking this?" "About 2 hours, sir." "The signal strength has been increasing slowly. Whatever is sending it is either getting closer or boosting its power output. Call Park down here. If this is what I think it is, we're going to need our best technician." 20 minutes later, Chief Technician David Park arrived on the bridge with his portable analysis equipment. Park was known throughout the station for his ability to make sense of the most complex technical problems. He connected his equipment to Sarah's console and began running advanced decryption algorithms. "This is definitely an alien transmission," Park said after an hour of analysis. "The mathematical base is different from ours, but the patterns are universal. Prime numbers, geometric sequences, basic physics constants. Someone is trying to communicate using concepts that any intelligent species would understand." Rivera felt a chill run down his spine. In 30 years of deep space monitoring, they had never received a confirmed alien transmission. There had been theories and speculation, but nothing concrete. "Can you decode the full message?" "I'm working on it, sir. The encryption is sophisticated, but I think I can break it. Give me another hour." While Park worked, Sarah continued monitoring the signal. The mathematical patterns were becoming more complex, almost desperate in their repetition. She noticed that the transmission was coming from a specific star system, about 150 light-years away, in a region that human exploration had never reached. "Commander," Park said suddenly, "I think I've got something. The computer has identified a translation matrix. The message is being converted to our language now." The main screen flickered, and text began appearing. Rivera read it aloud. "We are the Vellani of the third world of the Kepler 442 system. Our civilization is under attack by the Krolex Dominion. Our defenses are failing. We send this message to any who might hear it. We are a peaceful people. We have never harmed others. Please, if anyone receives this, we need help. The Krolex destroy everything in their path. They will not stop with us." The bridge fell silent. Sarah felt her heart racing as she read the message again. Somewhere in deep space, an entire alien civilization was fighting for its survival. They were so desperate that they were broadcasting into the void, hoping someone would hear them. "There's more," Park said quietly. He pressed another button, and a star map appeared on the screen. They've included their location and detailed information about their attackers. The Krolex Dominion appears to be a military empire that has been conquering worlds across their sector of the galaxy. Rivera studied the map carefully. The Krolex expansion pattern was clearly marked, showing the worlds they had already destroyed, and their projected path of conquest. His blood ran cold as he realized what he was seeing. "Park, check those coordinates against our colonial maps." Park's fingers flew across his keyboard. After a few minutes, he looked up with a grim expression. "Sir, if the Krolex continue their current expansion pattern, they'll reach our outer colonies in approximately 7 years. The Valani system is directly in their path to human space." The implications were staggering. This was not just a distress call from a distant alien species. It was a warning about a threat that could destroy human civilization. Rivera made his decision quickly. "Chun, prepare a priority transmission to Earth Command. Full encryption, maximum priority. Include all of our analysis and the complete Villani message." "Yes, sir. Transmission ready. Send it. And mark it for Admiral Stone's personal attention." The message streaked across space toward Earth at faster-than-light speed, carrying news that would change the course of human history. While they waited for a response, the team continued analyzing the Villani transmission. More information kept coming through, painting a picture of a desperate civilization facing extinction. The Villani described themselves as a race of peaceful explorers and scientists. They had developed advanced technology for space travel and communication, but they had never built weapons of war. They had no military beyond a small defense force designed to protect their trading ships from space pirates. They were completely unprepared for the Krolex assault. Asterisk the Krolex, according to the transmission, were a militaristic empire that had been expanding across their region of space for over a century. They conquered worlds for resources and enslaved or destroyed the native populations. Their technology was advanced, particularly in the areas of energy weapons and space combat. They had never encountered serious resistance from any species. They had attacked. "Commander," Sarah said, "there's something else in the transmission. The Villani have included technical specifications for the Krolex ships and weapons. They're hoping that whoever receives this message might be able to use the information to stop them." Rivera examined the technical data. The Krolex ships were fast and heavily armed, but they seemed to be built for fighting other alien species similar to the Villani. The weapon systems were designed to penetrate light armor and energy shields. The ships themselves appeared to be constructed for speed and energy efficiency rather than heavy combat. "This is interesting," Park said, studying the data. "The Krolex technology is advanced, but it's specialized for fighting enemies that build the same kind of ships they do. Look at these specifications. Their weapons are perfect for destroying lightly armored vessels, but I don't think they'd be as effective against our ships." "What do you mean?" Rivera asked. "Human ships are built differently, sir. We come from a heavy gravity world with a dense atmosphere. Our ships are built like fortresses with thick armor plating and redundant systems. The Krolex weapons are designed to punch through thin hulls and disable delicate systems. They might not be able to penetrate our armor." Rivera nodded slowly. Humans had always built their technology to survive in harsh conditions. Earth was a dangerous world compared to most planets, with extreme weather, high gravity, and a thick atmosphere that could support violent storms. Human engineering reflected this reality. Their ships were built to survive, not just to operate efficiently. 3 days later, the response from Earth Command arrived. Admiral Catherine Stone herself had reviewed the transmission and was taking it seriously. She was ordering an emergency session of the Colonial Defense Council to discuss the situation. Rivera was commanded to maintain monitoring of the Villani transmission and report any changes immediately. Over the following days, more messages arrived from the Villani system. The situation was deteriorating rapidly. The Krolex fleet had broken. through the outer defenses and was approaching the Vellani homeworld. The aliens were broadcasting increasingly desperate pleas for help, but they seemed to have little hope that anyone would receive their messages in time. Sarah found herself staying at her station long after her shift ended, monitoring the Vellani transmissions. She felt a connection to these distant aliens who were fighting for their lives. They were scientists and explorers, much like humans. They had families and children who would die if no one helped them. Any word from Earth Command? She asked Rivera during one of his regular visits to her station. The council is still meeting. Admiral Stone has called in representatives from every human colony and military installation. This is the biggest decision humanity has ever faced. What do you think they'll decide? Rivera was quiet for a moment. I've served in the military for 20 years, Chun. I've seen humans face impossible odds and find a way to win. If there's one thing I've learned, is that humans don't abandon innocent people when they're in trouble. A council will make the right decision. On the 5th day, the answer came. Admiral Stone's transmission was brief but clear. Operation Stellar Shield is authorized. Full fleet mobilization ordered. Humanity responds to the call. Rivera felt a surge of pride as he read the message. For the first time in human history, every ship in the fleet would be brought together for a single mission. The entire military might of humanity would be deployed to save an alien species they had never met. Chun Hark, listen to this, he sighed, calling them to his station. Earth Command is authorizing the largest military operation in human history. We're going to help the Vellani. Sarah felt tears in her eyes as she heard the news. Are you serious? We're really going to do it. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon humanity has will be deployed to the Vellani system. We're going to show the Kroleks what happens when they threaten innocent people. Park shook his head in amazement. The logistics alone will be incredible. Coordinating forces from across human space, maintaining supply lines across hundreds of light years. It's never been attempted before. But it can be done, Rivera said firmly. Humans have been preparing for interstellar warfare since we first left Earth. Our military was built for this kind of operation. As news of the operation spread through the station, the crew began to understand the magnitude of what was happening. This was not just a rescue mission. This was humanity's first major action as a galactic power. The way they handled this crisis would determine their future relationships with other alien species. The Vellani continued broadcasting their desperate messages, unaware that help was coming. Their homeworld was under siege, and their civilization was hours away from extinction. But across the galaxy, the most powerful military force in known space was preparing to answer their call. Admiral Stone's final transmission to all fleet commanders was simple but profound. The Vellani reached out to us in their darkest hour. They have no idea that their message reached the one species in the galaxy that specializes in warfare. They have no idea that they just contacted the most dangerous predators in known space. The Kroleks Empire is about to learn what happens when they threaten innocent people. The galaxy is about to discover why humans are called Deathworlders. The stage was set for the largest military operation in human history. The Kroleks had never faced an enemy like humanity. They were about to learn that some species were willing to cross the galaxy to protect strangers. The age of human expansion was about to begin, and it would start with an act of compassion that would echo across the stars. The Armada mobilized Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the UEC Defiance and watched the most incredible sight in human history unfold before her. Ships were arriving at Luna Station from every corner of human space, and the view took her breath away. The massive orbital facility had never hosted so many vessels at once, and the sight was both beautiful and terrifying. Another squadron just dropped out of hyperspace, reported Navigation Officer James Liu. That makes 67 capital ships so far, And more are coming. Elena nodded, but kept her eyes fixed on the viewport. She had commanded the Defiance for 8 years, leading it through countless patrol missions and border skirmishes. But she had never seen anything like this. The space around Luna was filling with warships of every class and configuration. This was the full might of humanity gathered in one place for the first time in history. The largest ships arrived first. The massive dreadnoughts moved slowly through space, their hulls scarred from years of frontier duty. These floating fortresses were the backbone of human space defense, each one capable of taking on entire fleets of smaller vessels. The U.S. Retribution, Admiral Stone's flagship, dwarfed even the other dreadnoughts. Its bulk was so massive that it blocked out the stars as it approached the station. Behind the dreadnoughts came the heavy cruisers, fast and deadly ships designed for deep space operations. The U.S. Vengeance, U.S. Havoc, and U.S. Nemesis took their positions in the growing formation. These ships had earned their fearsome reputations on the colonial frontiers, where they had protected human settlements from pirates and raiders. Captain, Communications Officer Maria Santos called out, "We're receiving formation assignments from the flagship. We're to take position in Battle Group 7, protecting the port flank of the main formation." Acknowledged. Lou, take us to our assigned position. Santos, patch me through to the other ships in our battle group. As the Defiance moved to its position, Elena watched the smaller vessels fill the gaps between the larger ships. Destroyers, frigates, and scouts formed protective screens around the capital ships. The entire formation was a work of military art, with each ship positioned to maximize the fleet's combat effectiveness. "My God," whispered Tactical Officer Robert Kim, staring at his sensors. "There are over 200 ships out there. I've never seen anything like this." "Neither has anyone else," Elena replied. "This is the first time in human history that our entire fleet has been assembled in one place. We're making history." The crew worked with quiet efficiency, knowing that they were part of something unprecedented. These were professional soldiers who had trained for years for this moment, but the reality was almost overwhelming. They were about to travel to an alien star system to fight an unknown enemy in defense of a species they had never encountered. Admiral Stone's voice came through the communication system, addressing the entire fleet. "Attention, all ships." "What you see around you represents the largest military force humanity has ever assembled. 212 ships carrying over 3 million personnel. We are about to undertake the most important mission in human history." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. 3 million people, all united in a single purpose. The scope of the operation was staggering. They were not just going to fight a battle. They were going to make a statement about what humanity stood for. "Our mission is to travel to the Valani system and drive the Krolex fleet away from their homeworld," Stone continued. "Intelligence suggests the enemy has approximately 400 ships in the system. We are outnumbered, but we are not outmatched. Remember, we are not fighting other humans. We are fighting aliens who have never faced an enemy like us." The Admiral's words were both sobering and inspiring. The Krolex outnumbered them 2-1, but human ships were built differently. They came from a harsh world and reflected that reality in their construction. Where alien ships were sleek and efficient, human vessels were armored fortresses designed to absorb massive damage and keep fighting. Asterisk, final preparations will be completed within 12 hours, Stone announced. Department heads will receive detailed mission briefings shortly. Remember, we are not just fighting for the Valani. We are fighting for the future of human expansion into the galaxy. The way we handle this crisis will determine how other species view us for generations to come. As the communication ended, Elena gathered her senior staff in the conference room. The mission briefing had arrived, and she needed to ensure that every member of her crew understood their role in the coming battle. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "we are about to jump to the Volani system, where we will engage the Krolex fleet in combat. Intelligence indicates that their ships are fast and well armed, but they are built for fighting other alien species. Species that evolved on gentle worlds and build fragile ships." She activated the holographic display showing the Krolex ship designs. Their vessels are optimized for energy efficiency and speed. They use energy weapons and light armor. They have never needed to deal with the kind of punishment our ships can both give and receive. Asterisk Tactical Officer Kim studied the display carefully. "What about their weapons, Captain? How do they compare to ours?" "Their energy weapons are advanced, but they're designed to penetrate light armor and energy shields. Our ships have thick composite armor that should resist their attacks. Meanwhile, our kinetic weapons should punch right through their hulls." Chief Engineer Rachel Torres spoke up. "What about their numbers? 400 ships is a lot, even for us." "True, but remember that we're fighting a coordinated human fleet. The Krolex have been successful because they've been fighting isolated alien worlds with no military experience. They've never faced a species that builds ships like ours or fights like we do." Asterisk The briefing continued for 2 hours, covering every aspect of the upcoming mission. The crew asked detailed questions about tactics, logistics, and contingency plans. Elena was impressed by their professionalism and dedication. These people were ready to risk their lives for aliens they had never met, simply because it was the right thing to do. As the final preparations were completed, Elena took a moment to walk through the ship and speak with her crew. In the engineering section, she found Chief Torres working with her team to optimize the ship's systems for combat. "How are we looking, Chief?" Elena asked. "Better than ever, Captain. We've had time to perform complete maintenance on all systems. The ship is running at peak efficiency. Whatever the Krolex throw at us, we'll be ready." In the medical bay, Dr. Michael Chun was preparing for the casualties that would inevitably come with battle. His team had trained for mass casualty events, but the reality was always more difficult than the simulations. "We're as ready as we can be, Captain," he said. "The medical facilities throughout the fleet are coordinated and prepared. We'll take care of our people." Elena made her way to the Marine barracks, where Colonel Sarah Martinez was briefing her troops. The Marines would be responsible for any boarding actions or ground operations that might be necessary. "The Krolex ground forces are reported to be physically weaker than humans," Martinez was explaining to her troops. "They evolved on a low-gravity world and can't function effectively in conditions we consider normal. If we need to board there, ships or secure ground positions will have a significant advantage." The final stop was the fighter bay, where Squadron Leader Tom Henderson was checking his pilots. The fighter squadrons would be crucial in the coming battle, providing close support and defending against enemy attack craft. "The Krolex fighters are fast, but they're not built for dogfighting," Anderson told his pilots. "They're designed for attacking defenseless civilian targets. When they meet real opposition, they tend to break off and retreat." Elena felt a surge of pride as she listened to her people. They were professionals who understood their jobs and were ready to do them well. This was what made human military forces so effective. They were not just following orders. They were committed to the mission and to each other. The jump to the Volani system began at 0800 hours. The entire fleet disappeared into hyperspace in a carefully coordinated sequence. Elena watched the stars stretch into lines as the Defiance entered the alternate dimension where faster-than-light travel was possible. The journey would take 18 hours. During that time, the crew made final preparations and tried to rest. Elena found sleep difficult, knowing that they were racing toward a battle that would determine the fate of an entire species. She spent much of the journey reviewing the tactical plans and thinking about the implications of what they were doing. This was humanity's first major interaction with alien species, and they were doing it at the point of a gun. The galaxy would judge them based on how they handled this crisis. As they approached the Velani system, long-range sensors began detecting the battle already in progress. The Krolex fleet was massive, just as intelligence had predicted. Over 400 ships surrounded the Velani homeworld, bombarding the planet's defenses with energy weapons. "Captain," Santos reported, "we're receiving transmissions from the Velani. They're still broadcasting their distress calls, but they're getting weaker. Their planetary shields are failing." Elena felt a cold anger building inside her. The Krolex were not just conquering the Velani. They were slaughtering them systematically, destroying a peaceful civilization for no reason other than their own expansion. "All hands, prepare for combat," she announced over the ship's communication system. "We are about to exit hyperspace." In the Velani system, the enemy fleet is larger than ours, but we have advantages they don't expect. We're going to show them what happens when they threaten innocent people. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system, their sudden appearance catching the Krolex completely off guard. Elena watched on the tactical display as the enemy fleet scrambled to respond to the unexpected threat. "This is Admiral Stone to all ships," came the voice from the flagship. "The Velani have been fighting alone for too long. Today they learned that they are not alone in the galaxy. Today, the Krolex learned that some species will cross the galaxy to protect. Strangers, all ships, engage the enemy." A battle began immediately. The Krolex ships were fast and maneuverable, but they were unprepared for the devastating firepower of human weapons. Elena watched as the U's Retribution's main guns fired, sending tungsten projectiles at significant fractions of light speed toward the enemy fleet. The kinetic rounds punched through Krolex ships like paper, causing massive explosions as they penetrated the alien vessels. "Target acquired," reported Kim. "Krolex heavy cruiser, bearing 270. "Fire all batteries," Elena ordered. The Defiance's weapons unleashed a devastating barrage. The Krolex ship's energy shields flared and collapsed under the assault. The kinetic projectiles smashed through the alien ship's hull, causing it to break apart in a brilliant explosion. "Direct hit, Captain. Target destroyed." Elena felt a fierce satisfaction as she watched the enemy ship die. These aliens had been slaughtering innocent people, and now they were paying the price. The human fleet was proving that the galaxy had a new power, one that would not tolerate the destruction of peaceful civilizations. A battle raged for hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Krolex ships were simply not built to fight the kind of enemy that humanity represented. Their energy weapons were largely ineffective against human armor, while human kinetic weapons devastated the lightly built alien vessels. As the Krolex fleet began to retreat, Elena received a transmission that made her smile. It was from the Velani homeworld, broadcast in their own language, but translated by the ship's computers. "Unknown ships, this is the Velani High Council. We do not know who you are, but you have saved our world. We will never forget this act of courage. You have shown us that there is still hope in the galaxy." Elena looked out at the stars, knowing that this was just the beginning. Humanity had announced its presence in the galaxy, and the message was clear. They would not tolerate the destruction of innocent life. The age of human expansion had begun, and it would be built on the foundation of protecting those who could not protect themselves. The Krolex Empire would recover from this defeat, but they would never again feel safe in their expansion. They had learned that the galaxy contained a species willing to fight for strangers, a species that built ships like fortresses and fought like demons. They had encountered the Deathworlders, and the galaxy would never be the same.